1, 2, 3. Hello everyone and welcome again. I'm Shorty, your host. Welcome to Pilot Car Map, sponsored by pilotcarmap.com. It's a free website for everyone to use to post their location, where you're going to be, so trucks and loads can find you. Anyway, today's show is going to be about what are the duties of a lead pilot. A lead pilot is the one that's in front. There's a lot to do as a lead. It doesn't sound like it, but there really is. You are in charge of your routing. You are in charge of making sure the truck knows if there's any cars on the shoulder, walkers, pedestrians, bicycles, any kind of obstructions in the way. You're to block traffic around corners. You keep your stop slow sign close by, close at hand, because you use it a lot. And even when you're, like, I forgot to say it in the last episode, it being a chase. When you're a chase pilot, when you leave the freeway, you are required to be in front of the load. So you become a lead. And it's up to you to follow the routing. So make sure that when you're a lead, you get your routing permits from your driver. A suggested piece of equipment to carry with you in your vehicle is a wireless printer. They're $39 at Walmart. I would suggest getting an HP or a Canon. The Epson are cheaper, but I run out of ink in like 2 or 3 prints. To me they're worthless. But I've got 3 of them stacked over here in this corner of my shop, and they're almost all brand new. They're garbage. So I go with the HP. It runs about $49. I can print up to 1,000 pages, which is good because you've got a scanner and you've got a printer that you can go through your phone. So if your driver sends you the routing and the permits by your phone, you can hit print and it'll e-print for you. Now that's just a suggested piece of equipment for you. Usually the drivers now, almost all of them have one on board, and they can get them. If not, stop at the first truck stop and get a copy of them. They'll print them out for $1 a page. But your main job as a lead is to watch for branches hanging over if you've got a tall load. Watch for low-hanging wires. They'll usually do a bend. You can say, straddle right a little bit or straddle left a little bit, and the driver can see it too, but he's watching for it then. And make sure for parked cars on the shoulder, notify the driver as to how far they are off the road. If you're coming down the road and you come up on a car that's on the shoulder, you'll say 4 on the shoulder, 4 foot off. So he knows if he's 2 foot on that line, he needs to move over a little bit to give him a little more room. If it's an 18 on the shoulder, you tell him that and tell him how far off. A foot off, 2 foot off. It's just a guessing, but come as close as you can by looking at it. The biggest thing, to me anyway, is the routing. Because if you're the lead and you happen to make the wrong turn and something happens, it's on you. All the costs of bringing out the police to get you back to a spot, which it does happen. A lot of drivers, I've seen a lot of pilots take their trucks, well, it's quicker if we go this way, because you know the area. But then you find out that load can't go that same way. I've seen them stuck. I've had to go and be a traffic safety man at many of them, where they've gotten themselves into a spot where they can't get the truck out, and they need more traffic help. So reading the permits, and I'll try to get a copy of one of my permits for, let's say, California, that shows the routing. I know on one load I took from Klamath Falls to Walnut, California. It's 560 miles if I drove it straight through with the car. By California routing and the height of the load we had, the load turned out to be 1,167 miles. So we crossed over I-5 constantly, just back and forth, because California overpasses are low. You almost can't take a 16-foot underneath them. So you have to take the road, take up and over, or you go over 10 miles, down 5, back over this way, back over that way. Until you get used to doing the piloting, until you get a little experience of being a chase and having the routes in front of you so you can follow them, try to stay away from being a lead. If there's any way possible, you're going to be a lead anyway, no matter what. As soon as the driver pulls off, unless you're going straight into a truck stop to get fuel or stop for the night, go ahead and stay behind the truck so you can block traffic from trying to come around on their side while they make the big sweeping turn. But if you're going to be off on that 2-lane for a little while, you have to be in front, and it'll say so on the permits. Those are the main items to follow as far as being a lead. It's simple. It's just common sense is really all it is. You watch out for what's coming up for the truck. Your lights tell everyone there's something coming. Your sign lets everyone know. You've got your handheld flag and your stop slow sign with you at the front seat. Don't put them in the back. So you have to look for them. Have them when you're with a load. Those two items should be right at your touch. I put my flag right here on my dashboard, or I've got a little cubby hole here on my door, and I can put it in there. Anywhere that it's quick enough to grab to hang it out the window. You're going to get wet, you're going to get cold, it's going to get hot. Because usually as soon as I leave the freeway and I'm on a 2-lane road, my window's down just for that, because you don't know how fast you're going to have to try to get it down and get your sign out. Just have them at hand so you know what's going on, and the drivers will see that, and when they see that you know what you're doing, they're going to call you back. They're going to tell their boss, hey, this guy was good, or he ain't worth crap. So and it's all how you take it and work with it and deal with it, and you get to know your driver real fast as to what they like to hear, what they like to know. Most of the time when you're going down the freeway, he can see down the road just as far as you can, sometimes if not even farther. So he knows what's on the shoulder and what's coming up. But just keep an eye out. Make sure you let him know if you're coming up to a bridge or a little culvert pipe or something like that, and there's a barrier right a foot off the line. You need to let him know, and you need to slow traffic down on coming the other way, because he's going to have to take it down the middle. So you let him know, skinny bridge, foot to the barrier. Let him know that you've got 2 4-wheelers back coming at you. 18 back. Make sure you let them know every vehicle, especially if you're in a curvy, windy, and that's where you're the lead the most often, is when you're on 2-lane roads and it's real windy, twisties, like up in the Humboldt counties, outside of Oklahoma City. You got some of the back roads up through there. You have to notify, you're going to be running about a half a mile in front of the load at that point. So you want them to know what's coming. Every 4-wheeler, every 18, everything that's coming back at them, short bridge, skinny bridges, some of them, like along the Oregon coast, California coast, the bridges are narrow. So you have to go across the bridge and actually stop traffic so your load can come right down the middle to make it through. So get used to these things. That's where your stop slow sign and your flags come in. When you're coming across the bridge like that, pull across the bridge, pull far enough in front of it that he can get off the bridge before getting to your tailgate. When you get to that point, pull right onto the line. Don't cross the line, that's illegal. Set right on the line, put your stop sign out. And people know, if they try to cross that bridge when he's down the middle of it, they've got to back up. And they know it. And that's usually when the number one fingers start coming up. Well, they drop 3 of them anyway. And you're going to see that one a lot as a lead and as a chase. You're going to be called number one so many times a day, especially in big areas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, any big city where you're slowing someone down, and that's the whole deal. You're taking away their time, but you can laugh about it because you're making more money than they are. So just remember to use your radio. Make sure you're getting out at least a mile. Keep track of where he's at, what he's doing, what he needs. There's going to be times where he's going to be out of your sight, behind you, especially in the curved roads, some of the little off-road highways and things like that. So that's really all there is about lead. It's just following the rules, watching for overhangs, branches, wires, cars on the side of the road, pedestrians, narrow bridges, and then stopping traffic for bridges for them. And most of the time, the driver has been down these roads before, so he'll tell you what he'll need you to do. If it's a long load, it's really not a whole lot you have to worry about blocking to where he has to come down the middle if he's not high. A lot of times, if they're high and wide, the bridges are like this. They're angled, so he has to go down the center, period, because he'll hit on the sides. And get used to taking out wires. Every load I've ever had that's over 16.8, 17 foot tall, we take out wires. Usually it's cable lines. Power lines are usually the way up high ones. Cable lines and phone lines are the ones drooping across the road. Those are legal for you to go out and push them up out of the way so the truck can get over them. Power lines, you are not allowed to touch. We're trying to work on a new bill that will allow the power company to train people to go out with pushers. And what it is, it's basically your painter's pole, a big painter's pole with a fiberglass top on it and a rubber band, rubber stretch, rubber piece across the top of it, so you can hold the power lines up and you won't get shocked. But that's still in the works. We're about a year away from getting that passed. I'm working with 4 senators right now and 2 congressmen to get it passed, along with one Pacific Power would like to have us do that too. And because they know we do it. We're just not supposed to, and it'd be good to have that certificate showing that we at least know how to do it. But that's a long ways off, so don't even worry about it. Most of the time, you can either move the load left or right to get around them, to get by them. And if it's too high, normally the load will have fiberglass PVC pipe off the fronts, so it will hit the wire and drag them across the top. And that way you don't rip the lines down, they just roll over the top. But just watch the load, listen to your driver, follow the routings, and that's the biggest piece. If you can find a pilot car in your area that has a recent routing permit on it, take a look at them. Some of them are quite hard to understand. California's the best. Even the DOT gets lost on them, so they're not quite wrote the way a normal a civilian can read them. So get used to reading them. Like I said, I'll try to post a few on our website, and I'll try to do another video later on how to read a permit, and I'll get a couple permits and we'll go over them. But that's about it for this show. Please subscribe and like, and if you don't like it, please let me know why. I'll try to get into more detail, or if I'm forgetting something, let me know. I've been at it a long time, and a lot of stuff is just natural to me that I don't think about. So if I am forgetting something, let me know. But those are the main items for being a lead. And the biggest number one stress factor is following the routes as a lead, because it's up to you, and that's where the big fines start coming in. If you get caught off route, it's $10,000. It doesn't matter what state you're in. I've never seen anyone less than that, other than Montana. They're $2,000. Because even if you're off route there, most of the time you're not in an area that's going to hurt anything. You can usually get out and around it. But that's the only state that I know of that's less than $10,000 fine for being off route. So stay tuned for part 2. It's going to be on CB radios and antennas. I'm a ham operator, so I've got many years with radios. And it's fairly simple. It's fairly easy. There's 3 radios I suggest. But that's just because they work. They're long-lasting. The one I've got to show you today, or the 2 I've got to show you today, I've been using for over 25 years. So anyway, stay tuned for part 2, and we'll get out of here and have a good day. Bye-bye.